Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Elaine, who was working in healthcare administration and very unhappy and not being paid well when she found my course. She hustled very hard, and even though she had resistance from her family, she achieved her goal and got a paid social digital marketing job, making $70,000 a year working remotely. I'm very excited to share her story with you. Thanks for being here, Elaine.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much for the course. It's changed my life.
You are welcome. And I'm very happy to be talking with you. So why don't you tell people a little bit about your current job that you're doing right now?
Sure. So right now I'm working at a marketing agency. I'm a paid social specialist. And for the most part, I'm doing a whole bunch of like Facebook ads. We just got on TikTok, which is super exciting. So I'm running campaigns on TikTok as well. We're looking to get into Snapchat and Reddit. Yeah, so for the most part, I'm doing budget pacing. So I'm checking to make sure that we're spending on time. I'm making sure that we're hitting the KPIs that we're looking to get. And now I'm actually in the process of learning like kind of like supervisory roles. So we have a new specialist that just came on and he's taken over for the pacing. And now I'm doing more client facing work. So I'm discussing insights on a weekly basis, weekly performance and budget performance. So I pretty much take the lead in 2 meetings every week. And it's a lot of fun, actually. It's a great gig. And I'm really happy to be doing digital marketing. I never would have thought this would be the course of my career. And I'm just glad that I took that leap of faith and I took your course.
I'm so happy to hear that. And I'm sure people are going to be very interested to hear about like where you were headed before you found the course and how you got here. But one last thing about that is, and how much are you making at this job?
So I'm now making $70K. Initially, so when you apply for a job, they ask you your desired salary or whatever. At the time, I was a paid social coordinator. So I was just doing organic Facebook and Instagram stuff for a nonprofit locally here in Harlem. And so my experience was in that. So when I applied, I don't know, I guess we're just, some people are not really good at negotiating, and we kind of like, we don't ask for what we probably deserve. And for my desired salary, I asked for 40K. And they sent me a letter saying, okay, you're going to make 40K. And I was like, what? Because that's what I was making at the time. And then I just figured I'd email them and say, well, I have another job offer for 50K. So are you willing to match that? Because I'm really excited about this opportunity. And not even 5 minutes later, they emailed me back like, yeah, we'll match that. And it was nothing. And so I started out making 50K, but then LinkedIn, like you always say, keep your LinkedIn, updated and stuff. And I kept getting all these offers on LinkedIn. So I started to see what they were talking about. I figured what does it hurt to have a conversation? So I had a couple interviews with some companies for paid social manager positions. And one of the companies offered me 70K plus 80K, but the 10K was a bonus that I wouldn't receive till a year later. But the base salary was 70K. So I took that offer letter to my manager, and he was like, well, he's actually the director. My team doesn't have a manager. So he was like, I'm going to take this up the ladder. And if they're willing to match it, would you stay? And I'm like, yeah, I want to see what happens, like for sure. Because I didn't really want to leave, but I'm like, if there's more money out there, why not? So it feels good to be valued by a company that they matched it. They said, yeah, we'll give you the 70K and we'll start to train you for a new position, once the next what is it that they do? Oh, yearly review. So once the next review comes up, you'll be in line to get another position. So I'm now making 70 in the same position just from leveraging a new offer and negotiating. So yeah, it's nice. I'm doing the same thing.
That's awesome. Wow, you kind of covered a lot more than I expected in that answer. So
there's a lot of people talk about this stuff,
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, guys, what she's speaking to, and I tell you guys, is that once you have the skill set or your first job, you have leverage. You have the ability to negotiate, and a lot of people, it's very natural to underprice yourself.
Yeah.
I think I'm very happy that you did that. That and that's really how it should work. And I do give that advice to people. I say, if you like your company, but you're not being compensated the way you should be, but you like them, you're not obligated to stay there, but you also don't have to jump ship. What you can do take an offer letter like you got and leverage it and say, match it or I'm going to leave. It's very clear. There's no games, it's like,
Yeah,
well, I'm
it's
gonna,
business. This is how it works.
and it's funny with all these the layoffs that have been happening in other sectors, not too much in digital marketing. We've been seeing that even though your company may have a good culture and you may be very connected to your coworkers, it's still business.
Yeah.
So well, that's great. So now that you are an experienced and like you've had experience negotiating and managing Facebook ad accounts, and you're working in paid social, which we'll talk about in a moment too, let's take people back to what was going on in your life when you actually found the course before any of this happened.
Sure. So initially, like I spent a good 10 years of my life just doing like customer service. I figured out really soon, really quickly that I didn't want to wear a name tag or a hat and be in food. So I started to like look for new office jobs, and my mom kept pushing me into healthcare. She's like, do something in healthcare, you make a lot of money. Like that's a good career for you. And she wasn't supportive about anything else I was trying to do. So I figured, hey, I'm like, why not? I did 2 years in college, but my brother actually finished he got a bachelor's degree, and he wasn't really doing anything with it because it was like a liberal arts degree. I think he did like women's studies or something. So that kind of made me feel like if I'm not gonna get a degree in something like specific that's gonna make me a lot of money, maybe in STEM or whatever, I'm probably wasting my time. So I ended up working at a hospital. I worked at Presbyterian as an office assistant here in New York City, and I wasn't happy. It wasn't fulfilling, and I wanted to do something different, but I wasn't sure where I would go. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I just took an inventory of my life and thought about it, like, well, what do I spend my time doing? Like, what do I like to do? And like most millennials, I spend most of my time online. So I figured, let me see what's out there. What kind of jobs can I get online? Like, what can I do? What can I learn? What kind of skill set do I need to be, competitive in that kind of market? Because I know a lot of times it's stuff that's really high level, like engineering, like software engineering or coding or programming. But then I found your course on YouTube and I'm like, well, this seems attainable. This is something I can do. And I already spend a lot of my time online on social media, just online. So I thought, well, and then the fact that your course included creating websites, stuff like SEO, being #1 on Google, like these are things a lot of people are trying to accomplish. And I just figured that this will be useful for me, for people I know, anyone with a business that I know, any businesses I want to start. This is good information. So I took the leap of faith and I started the course. And to be honest, my family was not, my mom was not supportive. She was like, what is this? Like, why are you wasting your time with this? Like, this is not going to make you any money. And I just thought about her perspective. Like, my mom's from Guatemala. Like, she comes from, like dirt poor, like it's still really bad out there. Like, and she had no concept of these kinds of things, and my mom didn't really finish school. So she didn't really have an idea besides what people probably tell her, like healthcare, doctors, stuff like that. So I had to take all of that into consideration. I'm like, well, not to be, disrespectful, but it's like, what do you know? Like, and I told her I'm gonna take the course and let's see what happens. I'm still working at the same time, so you don't have to worry about me, relying on you too much. I'm okay. Like, I'm gonna do what I can. And yeah, once I took the course and I got all these skills and I started to look at internships and jobs in the field, I'm like, well, this is way more lucrative than what I'm doing. I was making 33K. And that's not much to survive on in New York City. So to go from that to now making 70K and I'm working from home, I have my freedom. I can start a family happily, freely. Like, it's really nice. It's great.
That is awesome. That's more than great. That's
Yeah.
so great. I'm so happy for you. And it is like, we've interviewed a few people on the channel who worked in healthcare. It's shameful. It's so unfortunate that something that's so important, people's health. People are overworked and underpaid. So I love it when I've inspired other, these videos inspire other people in these fields, to change their lives. And in your situation, I didn't ask this, but can I ask, how old are you?
I'm 31.
31. Okay, perfect. So, sometimes people see the interviews with, people who are 19 or 20, and they think that this jet field is only for really young people. But it's not. I tell you, I interviewed a guy who was 59 who got his first job, and people in their 30s. And so this is a career change for you. So like you said, you had 10 of customer service and administrative experience. And so let's dig into that just a little bit about, okay, so you took the course, and how was it to, learn these skills and then get your first job?
To be quite honest, I played around way too much. Like, I feel like I would have been in a better place now if I took it seriously when I first started doing it. Like, I was taking it seriously, but I wasn't disciplined. And it took me a while to just finish the course and go through the experience part, the generate your experience part. And that's where it started to take off, because I realized like I can use this to get a job. Like, I can use the spreadsheet, I can use my own website. I can show you that I made ads and I've made some changes to optimize it. And these things were really helpful. And yeah, so it didn't take me too long, because once I actually started taking it seriously, I started to look at opportunities like internships and stuff, because I didn't take the freelance route, although I do want to start doing that now. But I figured I wanted to get my hands dirty. I wanted to get into something where I can help a business, and interning really helped me get that experience, because even though it was organic social, that's where it all started, because I was helping a company do that.
Right.
Yeah. So once,
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. So
yeah.
let's give people just a little context on what you're talking about. So yeah, the first thing you said, and we've heard this, guys, you've watched these interviews over and over, you heard it again and again. Sometimes I think I remember you being in the course for a while, and I didn't think you were doing everything I said. It's pretty simple, and people complicate it. And I know there's a lot of videos to watch, but it's literally like, I say it in the webinar. You learn the skills, and then you got to generate some experience with the skills, and then put those skills on your resume, and then apply for jobs. And it's like boom, boom, boom. And some people do that, and they get and then other folks, for whatever reason, I probably would have done the same thing if I was taking the course. You kind of go and you don't quite follow the instructions exactly. So then it takes a little longer. In your case, I do remember at some point, it seemed like something clicked and you started to get results. But what you're saying, so what I teach guys, if you haven't taken the course, I teach primarily, you're going to hear people getting jobs in PPC, which is pay-per-click advertising. That's Google's billion-dollar empire. Paid search engine management, that's what that's called. Then there's also search engine optimization, which is helping websites rank higher on Google organically or naturally without paying. I should say you pay a company to help you optimize your site, but ultimately those clicks are free, which is why it's so competitive. And then the third thing is paid social media, which means Facebook, Instagram, and as you said, TikTok ads. But you got your first internship in something we call organic social, which I don't recommend for most people. Again, if someone like you who's driven, you have the right attitude and you leverage it, it can be a good thing. But tell us about that first internship, or it was a job, right? You had a job doing organic social. What were you doing at that job?
So, my first job in organic social. I was working for a nonprofit, and they have a lot of it is just for their tenants. It's a big office building with like thousands of people who come to work, and the social media was really geared towards the tenants, letting them know what's going on what kind of food they have in the cafeteria, what events are taking place, what exhibitions, what's going on in the gallery, stuff like that. So all I had to do was pretty much update the WordPress website. So that experience was really helpful. I actually designed their email newsletter, because at the time it was really simple. And I spoke to the CEO like, hey, I think we can really update this. It could look way better. Like, this design is old. Let's change it. Let's update it. So I updated the email marketing. I would update the website. I posted to the social media, which they didn't even have at the time. I was like, let's create an Instagram. Let's start somewhere. Let's do something. And yeah, that experience was really helpful. I'm glad that I started to have, I just had more drive after that, because in that experience, I wasn't, they didn't give me the leverage. They didn't give me the opportunity to use anything paid. Like they didn't want to pay for ads or anything like that. And I'm like, well, how is this building going to get on the map if you're not willing to pay for marketing, let more people know, get out there? And yeah, so that's when I really started to finish the course, because I had already like gotten like halfway through it. But I think the problem is I wasn't desperate. I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm not working. Because once I wasn't working, like once I left, that's when things started to really take off for me. I'm like, no, I have to do this. Like, I have to do this. I have to be serious about this so I can get the next job. And but in that moment when I realized I wasn't going to be able to do anything paid there, I said, you know what? I need to start looking for new gigs. And yeah, so I went into our Facebook group and someone posted about Brain Labs. And I was like, hey, well, I can apply and see what happens. And I got the job. And I used, in my cover letter, I included my spreadsheet. I included the website that I had worked on. I included everything that I could, and it worked. Everything worked out. Oh, and you mentioned pivot tables in the course too. And that was I had to do this whole homework to get into the company. And like I had like 3 interviews plus the homework, and the homework was pivot tables. And I was like, oh my God, I went back to the course just to see it again. And everything worked out.
That's so awesome. So let's unpack it, because you said a few different things there.
Okay.
The first thing is what you mentioned, what it sounded to me like is that the first job you had, again, look, what I'm trying to explain to people who haven't taken the course is that organic social is like if someone's, just what you said, hey, can you post stuff on our Facebook page? Hey, can you update our email newsletter? These are the types of jobs that are typically just a college graduate would get, because there's no real skill behind it. And realistically, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc., they're businesses, right? So they are designed to extract money from businesses, which means you have to pay to get visibility, which is why you're going to make $70K as a paid social, somebody running advertisements, versus someone doing organic social, just posting stuff on Facebook, posting on Instagram. You're not going to make very much. I point this out in the course. Yeah. But it was a good jumping off point for you. What it sounded to me like is that your confidence level went up, because you were put into, you took on a leadership position. You saw where there were problems and you were like, I know what to do. Let's do this. Let's do A, B, and C. Now you're motivated. The second thing you mentioned was, now you said, so you quit your job. I didn't know that. So you quit your safe job.
Oh, right? Yeah, COVID happened. And I was like, I'm not doing this. They wanted, you know how it is. They wanted weekly testing. They wanted me to get vaxxed. And I was just like, it's kind of like what drew me out of healthcare. I'm like, if I didn't take the flu shot, I had to wear the mask like 8 months out of the year. And I'm like, this is insane. So yeah, it was like, once I stopped working at that place, I was like, you know what? This is the time. Like, if any time is the time, it's now, especially because I'm able to work from home, work remotely. I won't have these problems, and I don't. Right.
Wow. So that was a great motivator. And sometimes that is the case with folks, is, you know, when you have that, I would say urgency, but not desperate, you know, kind of middle of the road. So tell us now, so you got this job with Brain Labs, and I do remember, this is awesome. That's what I love about the community, is that I remember, who was it? Barbara who posted? Somebody posted in the Brenda posted about this opening. And that's what happens a lot of times, is students will get jobs and then their agencies will be hiring. They'll post it in our private Facebook group, and you responded. Now, how you just mentioned, so this was a paid social. This was like the position you have now, Facebook ads and
so I applied to do paid media specialist, but because of my experience with social, they said, well, how about you do like a dual role where you could learn both? And essentially that's what happened. I was on both teams. I was on a paid social team and a paid search team. But then once I was, once I started getting in there and networking and, connecting with different people at the job, they threw me into a Capital One team where all I do is paid social for Capital One. So I don't work with any other client. That's just where I am.
That's amazing. It's and you leverage that organic experience, and you told people you're sharing, for your application, you're demonstrating your knowledge of, account structure for Google Ads, pivot tables. These are all paid search. I guess the lesson from this for me is like, just be enthusiastic and keep putting yourself out there. It's not a perfect you know, there's never, everybody's experience is a little bit different, but you didn't, you know, you didn't have paid social experience, but they were like, we see the potential in you. You have
Yeah,
some knowledge and drive about these topics. We're going to be able to train you on this topic. And
yeah,
now working, you know, making great money working for, you know, a huge multinational company. That's awesome. And you already, it's funny, normally I would ask you your progression, but you told us that at the beginning about how you got hired at a pretty, you know, modest raise, but still, I mean, your entry level,
yeah,
50K level was already like almost double what you were making at your healthcare job.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So,
true. And yeah, it's really great because I would have never thought it'd be this way.
yeah. So why, now that you've given us, like, you shared everything that happened, what's your life been like, you know, now, what's your life like now versus before?
Well, now I have a lot more like freedom to do things I want to do. Like for the most part, a big goal of mine was to cook every meal. And I can do that now because I'm home. So I can cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I can go to the gym whenever I want. With this job, we have a lot of benefits where like doctor's appointments and stuff like that is like unlimited PTO for that. And I also have half days off on Fridays. So Fridays I'm out at 12 o'clock, which is great. And you know, a lot of times like there can be a lot of work, but for the most part, it's pretty chill. I'm not overworked. I've heard a lot of stories about agencies where your client is like emailing you or texting you at like 3 a.m. I've heard stories like this. And I'm like, I'm really glad I don't work in a place like that because that's not ideal. Like I have a really great work-life balance and you know, it's great. And I can help my mom. I can do more for myself. I can save money because that was like not a thing for me at one point. It was just like paycheck to paycheck. But now I have a lot more freedom and I can do more. So it's great.
That is great. And what does your mom think of digital marketing now?
Oh, she thinks it's amazing. She can't believe it. She tells all her friends and you know, she can't explain it. That's another thing too. When family's asking questions and you're trying to tell them, they're like, oh, okay, Facebook. They don't get it. So that's funny too, but my mom is supportive now for sure because she's seen the outcome. Like some people, you have to show them; they're not going to believe you. And you know, it's just one of those things. I'm really glad I got out of that though, and I found my own way in life because this is a way better career path for me than healthcare because it wasn't something I was passionate about. This I'm passionate about, making websites for people and stuff like that. It's cool. I freelanced a little bit too, so I've gotten the chance to do a lot of different things for like smaller brands and stuff like that. And it's nice to make extra money doing something you're actually passionate about.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, you pretty much nailed it. Like that's yeah. It's like you enjoy your job and it pays well and they give you that flexibility, which is what I
Yeah.
like, you know, and you're not micromanaged and you don't have to, you know, go into the office. You don't have that New York commute, which I'm
Oh
sure
my God.
unless
It's
you live right near,
definitely brutal.
but you know, that I remember that when I lived there. Um, well, that's fantastic. This is great. So yeah, I'm just really happy for you. I'm glad that you know you got here, and I can just hear in everything you're saying. I mean, you're just the amazing thing is you're just starting. I mean, you're just
Yeah.
like what, like a year in or two at this point.
Yeah. It's been a year now.
Yeah. So yeah, you got to this like this from when you got, you know, hired to your current salary a year. It's very early, guys. You really, people don't understand this if you haven't worked. I mean, your example is really good. I get people writing to me from all other kinds of fields, and the potential for growth is so low in most of these fields. Like, you know, you worked in this field for 10 years in healthcare administration. You were making how much?
I was making 33K, but I
That
was doing other jobs and yeah, none of it is anything like this.
it's yeah, you're gonna find that. I've had people write to me who have like PhDs and they're like, yeah, my max is 50K and I've been working for 20 years. I mean, it's crazy how
Wow.
limited the opportunities in other fields. That's what I love about digital marketing is in just a year, you almost doubled. The first job, you
Yeah.
doubled your previous salary, then you doubled that salary almost, you know, or you went up another 20K. And again, it's because you're part of the flow of all this spending that's going into advertising. Even, you know, people, I'm going to do another video about this, or, you know, you've seen it, the newspapers and the media is very misleading about a lot of things. I'll say, oh, digital, you know, Google's having problems, Facebook is having problems, and this and that. I was like, yeah, they're still making billions of dollars. Like, this is the place where people advertise. It's not like, seriously, 30 years ago, television. That was it. That was where all the money was going into television. Now, who watches television? It's all internet. So this is where the money, you know, they say follow the money. And that's why I also say paid social, because you're going to be paid more to manage paid advertising than you are to do, you know, non-paid posting on Facebook. Yeah. We get into all that in the course. So anyway, and I'm really touched that your mom is now a big digital marketing fan. I know very difficult. You know, my parents are pretty savvy. I was thinking about that. Like, they're pretty savvy for people in their 70s, you know, and it took me about 3 years for them to start to really understand. And they're really cute too. They send me articles, like anytime anything about digital marketing or search engine optimization, there'd be a news article about it, you know, and they'd be like, oh, is this what you do? Send me a little article. And I was like, yeah, Ma, that's what I'm doing. Really cute to see them kind of understand it. But for a lot of you guys who are struggling with this, you really do have to, I think it's a really great opportunity and a great challenge where you, if you're younger, you've been a child, you've been, you know, your parents have been the adults giving you information for a lot of your life. Now you really got to flip that and understand that you probably know more than them about this particular topic. And a lot of their ideas, and a lot of their ideas are probably outdated. You know, they really mean well, but they don't know what they're talking about when they, you know, tell you to get that degree or to go into some of these fields that are, you know, on the decline. Some of these fields are on the decline, whereas this, you know, this field is still growing. So awesome, Elaine. Thanks so much, you know, for sharing your story with us. Is there anything else you want to say to me or anybody watching the interview?
I'd say, you know, believe in yourself. You know, everything that you're learning is just like the course is called, it's in demand. Like, once you're in it, it's like there's no, I personally feel like there's probably no cap, because I've seen a lot of jobs offering me like so much money and stuff like that. Like, there's so many people hitting me up on LinkedIn regularly. So that means that this is a career that people are looking for employees for. Like, this is not one of those things where you're going to get in just like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to move up, or there's always opportunity in digital marketing. And the course teaches us so much, like different parts of it. And I think that's what's so cool about it too. You might get into SEO, you might get into paid search. I got into paid social, this web development. Like, there's so many ways like you can expand on what Seth already has started for you. So I think that it's like, you know, there's so many opportunities, and that's big. That's big.
Yeah. And absolutely. And do you have any advice for anybody who's thinking about taking the course?
Take the course. Don't delay. Do it. It's worth it. You're gonna do a lot. You're gonna be able to do a lot of things with this course, and the course teaches you so many different things. So you can take whichever route you desire, but it's really beneficial. It's worth it. Just do it.
Cool. Well said. Well said. I think people you know, can really resonate with your story, and I really appreciate, you know, your enthusiasm and sharing your experience with everybody. It is inspiring, and I think it's going to help a lot of other people see the opportunities in the field. So it was great chatting with you, Elaine. Thanks so much. Let's stay in touch and talk soon.
Okay, thanks, Seth. Bye, guys.